Welcome to Answers from the Universe and the Andronicus transmissions on Wolf Spirit Radio, Ever Beyond Radio, and Studio 9 Jam on YouTube. With your host, Jessica Ariel Morocco, featuring JP as the voice of Andronicus. Please visit www.readingsbyrael.com, that's ARAEL.
From the future, by way of the past. I bought my ticket for the 15th century. We started moving through a hole in history.
You're listening to Wolf Spirit Radio.
Hello everyone, and thank you for joining us today.
Another beautiful sunshiny day here in Massachusetts and Boston area. And we're happy to have the show again. And hello JP, how are you?
Hi, how are you?
So we're back again today to do our weekly transmission. We call it the Andronicus transmission, but it sounds like it should be Andronicus and all of his friends transmission. There's 5 different transmissions today. And of course, I guess when I get into those spaces, I open up to whoever else comes through. But, it's getting a little heavy here, but there's a lot of releasement, I think. And those of you that maybe heard the transmission last week regarding, Kraton, it might have been a little intimidating. But, recognizing that all different types of beings are out there, and some of them of a darker, a stronger nature than others. And, some are gentle, but everyone goes through the dark night of the soul, so, and if you're carrying all sorts of darker energies, carrying and holding a bridge open for others to pass over, you can be a little disgruntled. And so this is, of course that's an understatement, but just bear with us. If this isn't your cup of tea, then hang in there, and there's other aspects of information that are coming through. Some of you actually enjoy Kraton and appreciate him. I know that Viking could relate to what he was saying, and he could see past some of the opinions and feelings that's a perception of how Kraton could be viewed, but actually taking a look at Kraton in face value and seeing how would we be in that situation. So, but he has more information that's going to come through today, and we're going to finally hear from Kronos.
Oh, right. That should be fun. So, I've got to find another voice as well. Maybe he's going to be Greek. I don't know.
Well,
hello.
There's also another voice. It's kind of a nerdy character that comes through, with Rhodan, and he's a scientist. He's probably one of those Lucido from, the Martian people, and, his name is Vendel.
I see, Vendel, not Vendel Stevens, eh?
Oh, I don't know who that is, but
Wendell Stevens was he's the guy who discovered the thing about Hitler being in Argentina. He was a student of like I am, reading about the Nazis and Die Glocke and the truth behind the Nazis and where they went and all that stuff. So he found Hitler in Argentina, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it sounds like he's a genius, so if he can figure that out, it's possible, sometimes we're finding and discovering that some of these people are reincarnating, and we're getting to meet them. And so you never know. It'd be the same, Vendel. Yeah.
Well, Wendell, Stevens actually, passed away a while ago. So it could well be, different aspects of people's, who knows? We may all be, and it's a lot of people say this a lot, is that, we may be all one being incarnating into loads and loads and loads of 7 billion different bodies.
There's so many possibilities.
Yeah, that's right.
And each one has our own, signature expression from our soul. It's interesting.
So yes. So, where do you want, do we have any other announcements that we need to make before? We got the transmission that we did on Sunday. We did a special Ever Beyond with Viking once again. I haven't put them on the YouTube yet, but I will. They're quite interesting. I mean, this is all reminding me of. All this reminds me of the early, the Talmud or the Bible and all these things where you'd have the text itself, and then you have such and such a rabbi's commentary on the text, and then you have somebody such and such a rabbi's commentary on such and such a rabbi's commentary on the text, et cetera, et cetera. So it's getting to the point, where we have this show, we have our little connection, and then other people are coming in with their comments, and it's kind of building into a big kind of body of learning and understanding of our history and our nature in a kind of oblique way.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it's funny because I sort of thought of that a little bit of how, the transmissions come through and then we have the discussion, and it almost, I think it's an interpretation thing. It's almost just to clarify so that it doesn't leave, kind of a window open for speculation and other, potentials, So, we wanted, I mean, personally, I feel like I'm here to convey the information and also that, I am finding that, just like Viking, he got the message in a way and brought some things to light. And I'm sure that some of you also, and I do see some really good feedback from people that, right underneath the YouTube and, have their tidbits of gems, that really bring things together. Like someone mentioned something about the name Primus being connected to something else. I can't remember what it was, but, and so JP, as you and I are trying to bring this to light, because I'm completely, writing this, in kind of allowing it to just flow through, and then looking back and say, I can't believe I just wrote that because that's not my personality or it's not,
exactly. It's kind of out of your style, isn't it?
Yes, very much so. You can see I'm pretty, very simple in a lot of ways. And, of course I can discourse with anyone. I mean, I think I can get along with all different types of people of all backgrounds.
Hang on a second. Don't be so humble about this. You have a very descriptive turn of phrase. Even when you're doing the parts where you're observing what's going on, there's a lot of pictures and a lot of poetry. So, don't step back so much from this. This is, it's coming through your heart and it's coming through your perception of the world and your poetic ability to express that. So,
thank
stand
you.
up, step up and stand up.
But I do want to emphasize that these personalities are very unique and I feel their energy, but sometimes I'll go back and read it and say, wow, that's pretty interesting. And that's interesting that's how they perceived it at that time. And also, like I said, as you bring things to light, others bring things to light, and I think it was meant for everyone, not just for a handful to take in this information. So, and some people say, I just enjoyed the story. I had a friend listen, to the Bird of Paradise, one. I'm trying to remember which number that was.
That was a long time ago.
Shiva. It was a long time ago, but, that's when Rhodan tells the story of his romance with Mirren and, the High Brazil or High Brass Isle. Do you remember that?
Yeah, a bit. And about High Brass Isle being, potentially a spaceship, that landed in the, Atlantic, which, well, actually, it's very interesting that my girlfriend Nikki has also been talking about Atlantis being a spaceship that landed, make a big splash it wiped out loads of people when it came, and then when it went away, it made a big splash. But she says it was a mining machine. It was like it came here to gather, mine stuff. So that's Wolf Baby's perspective on Atlantis, that it was a ship. But she also says it was a much more recent thing. So this may be like there's, Atlantis just means the civilization beforehand, or a previous civilization, and that this wasn't actually what we call Atlantis, but it was a thing that was in the Atlantic and potentially could have been connected with it in some way. Does that make any sense? Does that resonate at all?
Absolutely. I mean, there's so many different possibilities, and as you say, a lot of it has to do with perspective. And so I'm seeing that I think the show was 2015, 11, 12, Rhodan 24. No, Andronicus 24, Rhodan 1. It was the first Rhodan transmission.
Okay. All right. It's the first Rhodan.
So,
right.
Yeah. So anyhow, I mean, it's however people remember it. You can have one event, and I've talked to different people about a specific event occurring, and each one having their own perspective of it. So, for example, if you were on the craft, it looked different than if you were observing it kind of plunge down and disrupting your world.
Right.
All of it is, right?
Yeah, indeed.
So she was possibly, here when that happened, as opposed to, being the group that came here. Now, Rhodan said that, and he said, yes, he was Apollo, that he also was the one that created, Atlantis. And he also said that Atlantis was Olympus. So, that kind of surprised me. And that's another possibility. So whether, if that's what he said, then, I'd like to explore that a little bit more. But, so far, what he's telling me is something that he usually shows me at the same time. And, that one I haven't quite seen how that operated yet, so I can't go more into depth with it. But, so far what he's showed me is what I convey to everyone else. And, here again, it's, however you perceive it. I don't think there are any wrong and rights in it. It's just, where were you at the time when it happened?
Exactly.
Anyhow.
Exactly. So it's all about your perspective. It's all about your connection to the planet and where that connection was, like if you're on it or if you arrived on it. Her perception is also that it's, just they weren't very nice. They weren't, the best kind of people to arrive.
And that makes sense, doesn't it? Because if she saw them as an intruder, wouldn't that be the case? I mean, if the, Atlantis people disrupted her world, she would definitely have a problem with them.
Definitely. And she says there that they were the Pleiadians. That's it. She calls them the Pleiadians, wherever they may came from, whether they actually came from Pleiades or from the direction, or maybe they're out. My personal thing is that they're Aldebarans, but let's move on to the.
We blame everything on the Aldebarans, but although the Aldebarans have done quite a bit,
yeah, they're worth blaming. Yeah. It's really worthwhile.
They caused enough in World War II that would make anyone shudder. So I'd say, let's blame them a bit. They could take the blame for that.
Why not? That's what we say. So, shall we proceed with today's proceeding?
Yes.
And let me just. There we go. Hang on, I need to. Hang on. Okay, so. Where's Rhodan? Rhodan he's that thunderclap, isn't he?
Rhodan 20.
Let's see, I think that's the one.
I sent over 5 transmissions today, and, I wasn't feeling the best, but I don't know. All the information came through, and it's quite a few, isn't it?
Yeah. Okay, so let's hit the thunder bar. Rhodan. There is a cluster of matter forming in the ethers, a gathering of antimatter forming a coalition to do harm, to close doors, to isolate the hominids. It is a destructive door of unwitting circumstances. This is the long corridor of fate, the everlasting exchange where time creates a blend of species, so perfect in its form, so wonderful in its essence. It is the human race as you know it today. We've seen this cluster before, but never so ominous and destructive. Since it doesn't have a form of logic and is more suited to be referred to as containment of viral intelligence, yet not to be underestimated. There is a search for the source of this matter, as it is slowly accumulating and beginning to form in an intelligent way to integrate. There are unidentified spores, and we may be able to match them to the contaminated Pleiadian ship you had encountered. Exactly. Yet, the leakage has its invariables. The temperature ranges are in constant flux and moving and multiplying at a fast pace, despite the enclosure tank, where we can modify the time-space element to slow it down and analyze the rate per second it is splitting and multiplying. There are many anomalies in this toxic element. It is also cracking from extreme cold and turned to a crystalline splintering fractures in some sections. In other sections, the genetics of this cluster seem to retain in heat and displaying in a liquid form. All of this has conflicting elements and reactions. My concern is that it was sent to alter the primordial ooze, the essence of life for most plant, animal, and human genome source. Whoever sent this back in time had an intention to greatly alter all living species. What? Wrap the enclosure in biocrystal, sentient gel, and allow the cooling process to moderate an even flow while we contain it. The gel seems to be holding it perfectly. Can we get a sample to analyze it?
Rhodan began to put on a pair of sanitary gloves, a mask to cover his face, and eye lenses. A being with bright red hair, humanoid, named Vendel, wearing a white lab coat and goggles, rushed in to extract the samples. His eyes were exceptionally large, and his slim body and white skin seemed to subtly contrast the white, clean room.
It has been quite a long time since we've been seeing such matter as this.
Yeah, he's sounding too much like Meetis. Hang on.
Yes.
Nerdier than Meetis.
It's been quite a long time since we've seen such matter. There we go. He's got a voice like that, yeah. It is obviously a blending of species not quite harmonious, seeking to dominate the genetics. The extent...
I'm going to say it, start again slower. Yeah, it's just throwing these new characters at me. Come on. Okay.
Just put on your red hair and white lab coat.
Beaker. It's Beaker. This is Beaker from the Muppets, you know.
Okay.
It has been a long time since we've seen such matter as this. It is obviously a blending of species not quite harmonious, seeking to dominate the genetics. The exchange of heat and cold may be the result of the viral war within them. I shall see when we search further. Odd. The matter and antimatter are congealing. Hold still a moment. Let's see. Ha! This is magnificent. It is evolving in an unexpected, irrational way. How lovely. I shall be poking and prodding at this throughout the time exchange. Quite rank, I would say. The bitter mix is potent. Shall I see if it burns through the pockets?
He said with strange enthusiasm. No, just get the normal readings on it and then you can examine it further. I need to know immediately if it's about to explode or implode. Are we at risk here on the outpost? Where is the origin of the matter coming from? Can we contain it, and did it interface at all with the primordial mix?
Let's see, my yellow jellied friend. Do you have a name?
Stick to the protocol, Vendel, or I will call in Hybra to assist you.
Oh, that's not necessary. I shall meet the results in no time. It is a simple task. Oh, you are a wondrous species of all volatile elixirs. We shall have fun exploring.
Remove the cluster, Vendel. That's your directive.
Very well. I shall extract the matter's molecular structure and DNA molecules in various regions of exchange and entanglement. The aroma of new life developing before me.
Vendel then proceeded to transport the matter to the testing quarters at a lunar basin. There, the hydroponic rejuvenating cells lined up under the glass dome, fully enclosed with partitioned lots. The strange cluster was sent after creating a dome structure specifically made to contain it. The scientists, much like Vendel, were anxiously preparing for the most challenging experience that they would have for a long time. He then entered the clean room prepared for transport.
Vendel has removed the cluster and we seem to be safe from contamination. That's removing the rubber gloves. He took his gloves off and wiped up, and then put on a biker jacket and helmet as if he was preparing for a movie.
Where are you going? They have motorcycles on space?
I'm in a movie on Earth, part of the Actors Guild.
Really? Tell me about it.
Oh, I don't want anyone to know where to find me. Of course I have my clones for protective purposes. But sometimes I like to let my hair down and express myself in a way that best suits me. The motorcycles were my inspiration. I like the atmosphere on Earth and enjoy riding along. Of course our technology is much more advanced and we don't need wheels. However, I wanted your reality to experience the pleasure of the open air and long trails of travel. The wind is invigorating. All of my sons and daughters enjoy a good motorcycle ride.
Are you happier now?
I thought my visit on the planet would be brief, but it seems like there is a lot more going on than I originally anticipated. Too many time slips and alternate realities seeping through. I'm searching for the origin or source of the yellow cluster. There are too many uninvited guests here now.
It is in the U.S.? Are you there during the 1950s? I can see it.
You were there, but you don't remember me. I played with you a bit. We have some laughs, but you always had a good sense of humour. That's what keeps the both of us going, am I right?
Yes, I think it's an easy way for me to relax from the tension. And I'm always searching for what makes these tense times a little bit lighter.
You are doing a good job. Remember our dance together and the things I whispered in your ear? I meant it. It's been a long road for you. I heard that Primus would be in danger if he managed the beetles, so I sent him on another mission. He missed out on an agreement, but I will make it up to him. In the end, he is much better off. There was way too much confusion during that time. We had a full-out invasion and it was masked by the hippie movement. No one knew what was going on. I'm headed back there to find out a few things before we reset some of the future. They severely altered the path.
Can I ask who the group was?
Yes, it was a rogue group of Arcturians. They did a lot of soul swapping and mind melding. The planet has yet to recover from that. It should be further aligned by 2019 to 27. There was a strange element dropped in Nova Scotia. It may have also altered some of the inhabitants. We changed things immediately, but there were some remnants. All of the Arcturians from the Z sector will be lifted and shuttled away. I have rehabilitation in mind.
I saw one of the Arcturians staring at me. He looked very pale, almost sickly, with dark circles under his eyes and strange but very angry appearance. I might even say that they looked like they were drug addicted.
They are. Some of the species are more prone to the chemicals and plants on your planet. It is enticing to them. They are not here to benefit, but create habitual practices. They don't die as you do. This type of poisoning doesn't seem to affect them, but rather influence and support their rebellion. This is how they keep their group connected. Don't have any interaction with him. They are very deceptive. I will be lifting them from your plane soon. It will feel considerably better afterwards. Keep drinking your mint and lemon tea with honey and cinnamon. It will protect you from the Fadrians, the rogue group from Arcturia. Do you see me?
Rhodan sat on a motorcycle with a leather cap and a jacket on. He revved the engine, and then he was ready to go. He turned to look at me, and I saw him grin a bit like a rebel. And then he spun out with dirt flying and accelerated rapidly.
Told you they were a biker gang. Told you they were a biker gang.
The Sons of Thunder, right?
The Sons of Thunder. I tell you, there's a biker festival in where is it? It's not far from here. It's about like an hour's drive away. Where is it? That famous place that begins with A, and I can't remember it. Anyway, it's like a ski resort that they have there, and they call it Thunder in the Glen. It's actually a gig, you know, they have rock bands in there. It's one of the gigs that I've always wanted to play, but I haven't had the chance to. Yeah. I've never had a band that was good enough to play there, that had a good set that we could book early enough. You know, we normally get the band together about sort of July, but you need to book in March, and we didn't have a band. Anyway, long story. Anyway, so that's the Son of Thunder and the invention of the motorcycle. And interestingly, today I bought an electric bicycle to get me in and out of town.
Wait, today?
Yeah. Funny.
It is very funny. I'm not surprised.
Yeah,
You're so much keyed into what they're doing.
Yeah, and what was it? There was another one which was where I'm just that was quite funny, the interaction between him and Vendel. You know, it's like, Vendel just wants to piss around with stuff. And say, no.
Vendel's like, he wants to, communicate with it.
Yeah.
And he's a total nerdy scientist, but that's the way they are. They're like fascinated by this stuff. It looked like it was the first time he had a challenge in a while, and he's,
excited,
ready to dig in. It's all excited. Yeah, it's like a project.
Yeah. So, so maybe I might get a Rebel Without a Cause, motorcycle rev for Rhodan next, cause he's, since he brought us the motorcycle, maybe, cause, it is a very satisfying sound to kind of rev a motorbike. I don't know if you've ever ridden one. But
it is, yeah. I had a boyfriend, for, about 13 years or so, and he had a motorcycle. We used to go out together, just drive along the countryside, and, it was nice. It was a nice feeling. It's very freeing. And of course, I wore a helmet. I know people are against that. Some, like especially New Hampshire. And, I think it's smart to wear a helmet. And, there's no, reason to put yourself in any position where you're going to get hurt. But, abide by all the, safety laws and all that other stuff, because it is very dangerous, but it's very invigorating, very nice. Oh, yeah. And remember that people can't see you, so you have to be extra cautious while you're driving. But other than that, it's, it's a great experience. So anyhow.
Wow. Oh, I just love that, the idea, cause, I keep telling you.
It took an unexpected turn as usual. Here you are, he's doing this big science thing, and what? Where are we going? And the way he turned and looked at me was like, all right, things are under control. I'm going to go out and do what I like to do.
I'm having a break. Yeah, excellent. It is a lovely, it does get the cobwebs out of the hair.
Yeah.
So let's just close a few windows here. All right. Okay. Now, where were we? Where next, my dear? Where next?
We're going to Kraton.
Kraton.
And for those of you that listened to Kraton last week, he was this big, huge black Titan, right? So he went on to the next 5 challenges. We're lifting energy from him as he lifts it from the earth.
So,
when you have,
Kraton was Trek drama, wasn't it?
Yeah, he's like the Darth Vader.
Yeah. You start.
Okay. Kraton 2. I beheld a black sheet of great magnitude, and it stretched out north, south, east, and west across all directions. It floated like a flag above the earth. Tell me, what is this?
It is the hearts of humankind forgetting their lineage to truth. They held on to the blackness that offered them corruption rather than the thread of life. So I allowed them to be buried in darkness. These are the thousands of humanities whose consciousness was to be bitter, cruel, envious, viperish, in rage, fury, and without light. I allowed them to exist upon a wave of my darkness, a never-ending plane of dark energy where they could ride the wave. That wave has now been lifted, and the blackness is taken now from the planet. Tell me, what have you discovered since we last spoke? Have you the answers for 5 more lives that I experienced on the planet? Tell me, I pray thee. My head is full of the rage of humanity, and it must be released. Whether it goes into the earth for humanity to be burdened and sorrowed by it, or if it is lifted and sifted into particles of nothing, I shall allow this to be your choice.
Were you Moses Brown, the merchant, maker of rum and worker of the rum triangle of Newburyport?
Moreover, I was influential over his dealings, and also used the same name as a founder of an affluent school. I mixed my knowledge with all my practices and taught humanity that darkness can dwell in all industry, education, and trade. Go on now. Tell me more.
You were the hardened gypsy rider traveling from Romania to Europe, selling wares and teaching thievery, dishonesty, and the art of deception.
Moreover, I gave them the gift to sing and persuade the most educated and cunning affluent person. I coupled their lots with fear and worry and sorrow. None would be at peace if they rejected my workers. Speak on.
You were the wizard, the teacher of witchcraft, who taught us to use herbs to make blends of protections during the times of the Inquisition.
It is true. And I also began the Inquisition as well, but could never think more wicked than the hearts of some of the leaders during that time. They basked in the blood of the innocent in Spain. As my witness, it took both I and Meetis to get them to release their desire for blood. It was a mark to remember. You might notice that nothing is changing, despite your effort to think of 3 times I influenced humanity.
Is it possible that you took both sides during the Inquisition?
I did, but will forevermore release that from you and others if you heed my words. You can count this time as 2 influences on the planet. Say more. Say the last one for now.
You were an unassuming stock exchange worker, a 21-year-old man during the Great Depression, taking on the greed of humanity and helping them win and amassing wealth through corrupt practices. It was not the stock market that brought them into darkness. It was the envy, anger, corruption, deceit, and murderous activities that brought them to their knees.
You have won 4 more shifts of dynasties of wars that will not travel in your dimension. Instead, they will be sent to an alternative experience where they will melt like a candle in the sun from hardship and unsafe territories. I wave the black flag, and this is now gone. A sheet of dimension has flown onwards.
I can hear the coins falling and holes in the pockets. Is this what happens going forward to those who steal and deceive others, like the deceitful gypsy entertainers?
Yes, you are correct. Do you see this? It is the pit and the pendulum dropping. The messages were in the stories, forever binding until now. I lift the torture chamber from humanity for the jinn to also move forward to outer regions of destructions on foreign planes of reality, where all the most rebellious will go.
What of the corrupt merchant Moses Brown?
Now, I know you would like to see that one go. I will lift it from you as a black umbrella. Do you remember how I floated above the hotel bed when you saw me in Brown Square? I would not leave until the potency of the rum would be severed. The blood of the rum trade ran deep as a river. So many lives lost to make the potent elixir. The trade itself was where slavery entered in. Release the suffering of humanity from their own kin, or should I say jinn. Yes, the jinn were released in this process. It will require me to do more by lifting them from your society. Here, behold to see them ride away on a black carpet. They too will find other regions to abide until the lessons have been learned not to conjure the black liquored. No, to black. Not conjure the black. I can't say that. They too will find other regions to abide until the lessons have been learned to not conjure the black liquor for the fight. And thus I thrust a mighty sword within the earth. This is what we do to let ourselves be known to our brothers. See now, I shall be a witness without making a vow. I do not have to dispose of anything I don't like. This is not your journey and not your fight. I will continue to burn off the embers as you continue to lift. Come now to me, we are nearing new truths. The battle is more within. It is in the hearts and minds of humanity. They wait not, nor do they test their own thoughts. Very few have control of the battle from within. And this, my friends, is really their own sin. How shall we begin? How shall we begin? Or let the pot boil over? It is a checkmate. You have no other card to play.
What does that mean?
Come back to me another day. Kraton. I'll turn my fake megaphone off. You can't hear it. Actually, I just this is how I sounded to the others. With the echo. Did you hear that?
No, I didn't.
Can you hear? This is hello.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, that's how you did Kraton?
Yeah, that's how I did Kraton. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Big.
That is awesome.
So.
I'll tell you what, he's very big. So that's probably a good combination.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is like resonant, sort of, deep, resonant and large. So again, very interesting. Right from the black, from the end, I thrust a mighty sword within the earth. This is what we do to let ourselves be known to our brothers. It's like it's acupuncture, here I am, I'm putting my mark. Because obviously everybody's sword has its own signature, its vibration, eh?
Right. And they put, that is interesting. And I watched him do it. And I think when you think about, like in Avalon, when they had to pull the sword from the rock.
So sword from the stone, yes.
Yeah. Yeah. I wonder if it was one of their swords.
Well, I'm sure we'll find out who Arthur was. He's probably one of these guys,
Yeah, how could he pull it out unless he was one of them, right?
Yeah, exactly. And it's the vibration, it probably, the sword probably vibrates when you hold it, right? It's like a crystal, there's crystals in the handle that when you squeeze a crystal, it creates a vibration. It creates an energy. Mm-hmm. So it may, grabbing something actually sets it going. That's how these, how a crystal wand works. It's the squeezing, even the gentle squeezing by your hand that activates its energy of it. So,
Yeah.
right, let's just see how the chat room's doing as well. Let's see.
So we're going to go to Kronos next, and this is the first time hearing from Kronos. I was actually very pleased.
Mm-hmm.
I had been down this road to try to meet with him before, and then I was instructed that it wasn't time yet. And it was primarily because at some point, to give some background, at some point as I'm traveling to go and meet with Kronos, it was the Arcturians who were in the way, and they're really bad for me to interact with, and quite aggressive and dangerous. So you'll see that that kind of gets resolved through Rhodan.
All right. So they're having a little chat in the chat room now. There we go. All right. What's going on? Oh, there's a lot of conversation.
General conversation.
Lots of conversation in the chat room. I was just trying to see if there's anything going on. Just hello everybody in the Wolf Spirit chat room.
Hello everyone.
Yep. And they're wondering what actor that would be. Featherwell saying Bike Week in New Hampshire near Winnipesaukee. Red Pill says the fastest I went on my bike was 150 miles an hour, and that is freaking fast.
Wow, that's fast.
That is fast. That is really fast.
Yeah.
I think I topped 100. I used to have a 500cc single cylinder, and so that would make a noise as it went down the road. By 98, it was shaking too much. It's like I just about topped a ton, as we say in Britain. A ton, yeah. So, there we go. Yes. So, who's next?
Well, I just want to clarify that I don't have an objection against all Arcturians, but this is a very toxic rogue group that actually brought in the drug culture. We had an invasion of them, according to Rhodan, during the 1960s, but it was masked. I mean, it was liberating for many humans, but the addictions and the loss of lives and everything, of course, was not of the highest good. So, and I believe that they were probably a contributor to that.
Yeah, it's interesting. I wonder what are the sort of drugs that we're talking about? Are we talking about, is that heroin? Because that's
heroin,
the one
LSD, everything. I think, was it the elephant tranquilizer, angel dust, they called it once.
Angel dust, yes.
Yeah, not real angel dust, well, maybe the dark angels.
Yeah, not nice angels, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's just so many of the drugs that were used, and here again, you can't kill, and some of the aliens just can't die.
Yeah.
So they're getting their high and their trips and all this other stuff. And they're not worried about dying. But meanwhile, the humans that are interacting with them, are falling away. So, I guess that's how it worked. And so Rhodan saw that as a problem. And it kind of caught it a little too late. He's re-entering the space.
Yeah.
Because it actually affected our future.
Really? So,
Us off track.
We have a question. From Amy Delgado. Hello, Jessica and JP. Why are the Arcturians known to be unpleasant?
I think that there's all the different species have a little bit of a rogue group. It's just like, humans are typically good, and then there's a group that, they're counterculture, and, if, sometimes they're really, really angry and hurt others. It's similar to that. The groups probably had value and purpose, and then, for whatever reason, there's a rebellion, and, then they go off and try to do damage. So, I wouldn't say it's all Arcturians are bad, but, this group in particular was.
Yes.
And hello to you, Amy.
Yeah, hi, Amy. Yeah, so, there's, Featherwild's got a Nova Scotia connection here. Interesting. Everybody wants to go
Yeah.
visit now.
Yeah, maybe she has an idea of what that energy was that he was talking about, because I haven't examined that yet.
Mm-hmm.
But, if she has any idea of anything that happened during that time of the 60s, to share with us if she wants.
Apparently, in Nova Scotia, they have a strange Creole French English, which they say "je vais walker down the road," and things like that. They use English verbs with French grammatical construction. It's very interesting. Right, and probably quite funny to listen to our ears. I'd love to
Sure.
listen.
Yeah, and especially you have a French. You're also French as well.
Yeah.
So
My dad was French Canadian, so he had the worst accent in the world. Anyway, that's probably why I do all these voices, because it's like my dad and my mom and everybody in my family all had different voices. My brother spoke a little more like Rhodan, actually. That's sort of my elder brother's voice, and anyway. So, another question. Why are Arcturians on Earth, please?
It seems like we're having a visitation of all different, space beings, and there's other ones that are even just showing up now. It's quite a gathering now of all different races of beings coming in together, and they've all kind of influenced us in different ways. So, and throughout history. Some have been here at different times. It's almost like those, the black emeralds that came through, and they're in the outskirts of the universe, kind of protecting the borders. And they showed up, and, according to, Peter Berger from the ACIO, they haven't been here since ancient Egypt. So, that kind of gives people, people that follow, the activity of the extraterrestrials that some of this stuff is going on. And it's like a little marker of history of their showing up at this specific time that's possibly related to their seed. And all of them have an investment on the planet, through DNA. They've all kind of influenced us, and others of their group have incarnated too on the planet. And so that's why people have an affinity towards one group over another. And sometimes it's a combination, but just like anything, we try to get along. They're supposed to get along. Doesn't always happen that way, but
play nice together, everybody.
Yes.
So, I've got doors. I haven't got any doors and locks there. Oh well. I've been trawling the internet for what are called Foley sounds. And Foley is when you watch a movie and they record, you see them doing their thing, and the guy's walking across and he's picking up a thing from the table and he's putting it down on the table. None of those sounds are actually recorded during the recording. They're added later as what's called Foley. And so, you hear somebody walking across the floor and then open the door and then slamming the door. They're all made up of separate samples, So this is a metal door slamming, for instance. Come on. Yeah, sliding door. You see, so every time you watch a movie, none of the sounds are actually recorded live during the thing. So they have various other fun ones, like large explosion. This is the sound of a shack being exploded.
What do you think Kronos would sound like?
Well, here's the thing. How does Kronos sound? Oh God, I'm running out of ideas. I'm running out of all the people I used to know. Who would Kronos sound like?
Maybe he sounds French Canadian.
Perhaps. Actually, I was thinking, he could sound a little Greek. So maybe French Canadian Greeky sort of. He's not Greek. He's not geeky though. He's not a geeky Greeky. He's like serious. He's very serious.
Very large. Yeah. Well, everyone was afraid of him, and they I think he was accused of eating children or something like that, or eating his own children.
Uranus.
Yeah, he was pretty He was pretty frightening.
Yeah, Uranus is Kronos' son, isn't it? Which one? Was it Uranus that his dad?
I have to go back and.
Yeah, gonna have to have, maybe somebody in the chat room knows the thing.
Yeah, they can help. I mean, honestly, I didn't go and try to study it, but I do remember Kronos was the one that they trapped into the underworld. Hades was watching over him, and that's another thing we haven't heard from Hades. But I think Hades is incarnated, unless he comes from the past and talks to me.
Right.
But
it's all getting very hyperdimensional and complicated. So let's find a nicer. God.
So we need something powerful for
We need something
Kronos.
powerful.
Yeah, they had to lock him up. Zeus, Poseidon, and Hades were trying to keep him under lock and key to prevent him from destroying everything.
Right. So let's try this one. Large tower collapsing. That should do it. It's quite a big one.
Yeah, that's him.
That'll do. So, the energy of knocking a tower down. So, first of all, this is introduced by Rhodan. It is time to awaken the sleeping giant. I want you to enter the netherworld and release Kronos from his misery. The key that Kraton gave you was the key to unlocking Kronos. He has been hidden away for thousands of years to allow humanity and all other species to develop and decide their own destinies. Oh, yeah. Let's turn off the reverb. So that Rhodan, the other Rhodan. Anyway, with Kronos' mighty power, he would have prevented many things from happening. It is a chosen decision on my behalf. I shall be your witness as you unlock this mighty beast. He may or may not remember you. It doesn't matter. Either way, he will be kind and grateful for you unlocking him. As soon as you unlock him, you will be released of the task of upholding and supporting the Titans. They have run their course, and now it is time for them to shine. Much of the stories of old were wrong. We told everybody that they were evil to explain their hypostasis and disappearance into the vapors of time. The key has threefold angles and 4 dimensions. One cannot unlock the door without unlocking each dimension. Once that has occurred, the door will blast open. Stay clear of it and the pathway at a considerable, comfortable distance. When you have opened the door, you may notice the key has red blood upon it. Don't worry about it. It is a remnant of what has passed. I can assure you, we shall be near to help him along, as you are in the clear when the dungeon is all gone. He was such a powerful force that no one dare look upon him. Now he shall return to his place of power. You will be freed, and so will many others. You will feel less like the earth is crushing down upon you. As I told you in the past, my name was Apollo. His name, in our realm, is Apollyon.
Rhodan stood tall and looked up into the sky as the dimensions opened and divided in two, revealing heights and depths of unknown.
It is time now. You must go. We cannot keep the dimensions revealed for very long. This will assist his trek home. Go now, child. Await my commands.
Can I ask why me? Why was I chosen for this task?
You were the most innocent and least threatening of us all. Besides, it was your wish to see humanity not suffer the pains of sorrow anymore. Okay. Step through the doors.
I observed a cloud shaped as a door open and walked through. It was a light clouds and pathway too much like air. Cloud lifted away and I saw a transparent walkway, completely solid. I came to another point and it seemed to turn upside down or sideways. Couldn't tell. I lost my perspective of location and was very much disoriented. Then I slid a bit and continued to walk again. The door opened on the side where a man stepped out, rather tall, pale, with a drug-addicted appearance, and intimidating. He appeared as one of the rogue Arcturians and waiting to harm me. Remember what Rhodan said. I looked around and noticed he was gone. The door closed. I kept walking further and discovered my own key on the ground. I picked it up and lifted up as if a parachute brought me to another space. This was a type of labyrinth, I thought. I could smell a dank, cold prison cell and the breath of a large man, gasping.
Who goes there? You are not Hades. Where is Hades? I told him to fetch me some food. That good-for-nothing son of mine. Come closer, child. What are you doing here? You're so small. Here, I shall increase your size to see you.
I grew to the proper scale of the dimension where he was. Why are you here?
You don't know? It was my good-for-nothing wife. She betrayed me and betrayed us all. I should never have married a Syrian. The integrity of those people of Sirius B are lacking, not to mention my nagging mother-in-law on Sirius A. What a dread. Hey, come closer. You resemble my kin. Who sent you?
Rhodan. He asked me to come here and free you from the cell. How long have you been here?
Not very long. To my time, it has only been 8 days. I see from your time it has been thousands of years. Was I missed?
Yes. I still don't understand why you were here. Please, tell me further.
My wife, Newt, betrayed me. Oh, she's a wicked one at that. Her brothers wanted my kingdom. It is clear I had to remove myself. It's getting more South African now, sorry. I just have to get a bit more Greek. It's clear that I had to remove myself before I began destroying everything. I have done that before.
I hope you didn't do it again. What will make you be at peace so you can enjoy the experience of being with your family again?
I will be at peace when she and her family have received my judgment. I needed to cool off a bit and think I may have had a very long nap.
So what will happen to her?
She will be brought to the dark chambers for a very long time, and then I will return to find another wife of my own kinship. It is time for all of us to return home. Maybe you should be South African. It is time for all of us to return home. You? Are you my daughter?
I don't think so.
Are they delivering you to me as a wife?
I don't think so. I am just here to free you.
You could be my wife.
I think I'll feel better just figuring out how I can get you out of here first. Do you promise not to harm me and allow me to return back?
Yes, I promise. Do you like wolves? They are our friends. I miss my animal pack. They were always faithful to me.
I like wolves. I think wolves are amazing animals.
Indeed. Quite developed and intelligent.
I stood there observing the mighty man of strong, harsh features, dirty hair, and torn clothing. He was a beast in appearance, but his voice was gentle, though deep and echoing. My ears were overwhelmed by the sound.
Come, touch my hand, and see I mean you no harm.
I have a key to unlock you. I trust you will not harm me. The others are waiting for you. Rhodan or Odin is outside the door. The key, now shaped and formed differently, was inserted in the block, but the lock turned into a cloud. I turned slightly to the right and a loud noise of multiple cogs moving in a multiple lock system. Then I backed away from the opening to allow the door to open unyielding from obstruction, just as Rhodan had suggested. A flash of light, in the cell disappearing, revealed a stately man of long golden locks of hair, muscular and shining with magnificence. He was amazing to look upon.
Now you see my true form. I was not locked away as it appeared. I was angry and hid. I chose not to be with the others until my time was met. I will now return to my kin, and you, my love, shall come with me.
Another flash appeared, and we were standing in front of Rhodan, Borkum, Kraton, and Meetis.
Where is Primus? They got him as well, didn't they? Yes, I've been watching him.
I told you we should have pulled him out earlier.
He's okay, don't worry. It was his choice to work this out for his own reasons. He will be fine. No harm will come to him.
I'm pleased to be back. Whose child is this who enticed me from the prison?
She's mine.
I don't remember seeing her. How long have I been gone, and where is Triton and Ketron? They promised me they would be here when I was done. And what of my son Zeus?
I'm here, Father. It is so beautiful to see you. I missed you and felt angered that I was not allowed to see you.
You are still in the awakening? Don't you remember your task, son?
Yes, for me to be the journeyman. To love all beautiful women along the way.
Then Andronicus turned and looked toward me, but I looked away, not knowing what to say and feeling embarrassed.
We are now off to return to Asgard. Will you sup with me this fortnight?
Kronos reached out to Rhodan as he held his arms to embrace.
I have much work to attend to, but I shall see you and celebrate with you.
Kraton, my brother, you look pale. I see you have lifted the black ink from your heart.
It is slowly seeping through.
Then Kraton glanced at me to say that I had helped him.
It is time for you to leave now. The timelines are being slightly altered. Return to see your son. Your work is now complete. The rest can be managed without you. Don't get involved with Newt. She will only cause you harm. The circus is now over. You and all of us can begin our lives anew.
The room began to fade in a cloud and everyone was gone as he spoke to me. It was like a dream. I couldn't tell if any of it was true. A large flower burst open as if it was me. It looked similar to a red poppy. I'm ready to return. So that's the reason why Meetis kept calling me Flower.
Try not to think too much about what he has told you. He didn't understand your role in all of this. Go now. It will be mended soon. Kronos.
Sorry, I got a bit confused there. Well, that was fine. That was very interesting.
But the buildings didn't collapse.
Yeah, so, I mean, there was a lot of fear around this. It was like, oh, what's he going to do? And then it turns out that he wasn't imprisoned by anybody, that he kind of locked himself away. What's all that about?
Yeah.
Did you get any understanding about what actually happened there?
I think that it was kind of agreed upon. He was very angry at, I was surprised to find out that he was married to, Newt. It was like the two different species, the Titans and the Egyptians came together. And I'd never seen that before. So Kronos had married, Nut, and if you can see that in the Egyptian, genealogy. And then didn't want to have anything to do with it. So he was really enraged. He was very angry about, and also the intention of the, Sirius, beings, that, clearly want to just take everything over. And so, rather than create destruction, and also he certain things probably needed to kind of work their way through, and he just wanted to just settle it right then and there. And then I think everyone agreed that it was good for him to just go away for a bit. But that's how it was a reflection of how he felt. So that whole dark, dank prison cell was kind of his emotional state. And once he realized that someone cared and everyone cared about him, he came back to his original state. And he was just amazing. He had the long blonde hair and very muscular, tall, kind of looking like this amazing, like large Viking type of guy. And so then he, reconvened and immediately he's talking about family and getting together with everybody and, something like that. So, it turned out well. I'll just say. But, you notice that Arcturian one was standing there and I never knew what that was because I don't know how long ago, maybe it was a couple years back where I had a vision and I saw myself kind of going into that space with the clouds and seeing that these beings kind of waiting there at the portal doorways. And, they were the Arcturians and they had not yet been removed. So they said, "You're not ready yet." And they stopped me before I got to that point. So it was like a test. This time I was able to get all the way through, and Kronos is now reconnected with the other Titans, and I guess my commitment to help bring them all together has been fulfilled.
Yay!
Yeah, that was something to celebrate.
So listen, let's take a quick break. I've got a Thunderstruck. I thought I'd put some ACDC,
Okay.
some Thunderstruck, because we were talking about these Sons of Thunder and all their
Yes.
mates and the bikers and everything. So, and the bikers and isn't it funny how the bikers and the Vikings and this, I mean, there's always been a sense of, riding a bike does give this sense of Vikingness about it. I don't know why. Perhaps it's
that's what they look like. They all have the ZZ Top, big beards.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So, let's have some Thunderstruck. Well, there you go.
I love that song.
Energy from Angus and Australian AC/DC. Go ahead.
Yeah, that's awesome. And it's so fitting. I mean, that's the complete energy of who they are.
Yeah. Thunderstruck. So, what about Kronos? All right. So Jessica asks, "Why are you here?" And Kronos says, "You don't know? It was my good-for-nothing wife." He's blaming the wife. And she's
I was
Newt.
surprised to hear that too.
Exactly.
I know.
It was Newt, the nutter.
My wife is a nut.
Yeah, a nut, and she was called Nut, and she betrayed me and betrayed us all. I should never have married a Syrian. Sexist and racist. Oh God, the integrity of those people from Sirius B are lacking. Not to mention my nagging mother-in-law on Sirius A. What the heck is all this about? This is like, totally as above, so below. You think the gods have got it right, but this is where we get all our problems. This is what I'm saying. This is where we get all of our human problems from. It's not our problem. It's like we've inherited this from these people.
I was wondering when this was going to affect you.
Oh, that's a laugh. That's a laugh.
It is. I was not expecting that. That was a curveball. I was expecting him to say, we were invaded, or, I was going to destroy everything, or my sons.
He's hiding from his wife. He's hiding from his wife. Oh my bloody God. Okay.
It was one of those intergalactic arranged marriages.
Ah.
Even those don't work sometimes.
Exactly.
I think they taught us the whole concept of divorce.
Yeah. Well, No, there's this reference from Andronicus. Oh yeah, I was born to go out through the stars and just shag everything.
Yeah, of course. And then he looks at me, and I'm like, what?
You're next, baby. Oh, hilarious. Bloody hilarious.
Yeah.
Sometimes these transmissions are just full of this kind of, oh really? Oh wow. kind of moments like.
Yeah. I mean, it's pretty, basic. It's something that we can definitely relate to. But they're, kind of a wild bunch, aren't they?
Yeah. And, so there's Newt and her brothers. Her brothers wanted my kingdom. It's clear I had to remove myself before I began destroying everything. I've done that before.
Well, it's almost like let's recreate, all of these planets again. And, it's just like he knew he had to walk away and, kind of not go postal and, keep things together.
Exactly.
And so he did.
Exactly.
He did the right thing. It was hard on everyone because he was missed. And he said that, all this whole thing of the Titans, being defeated and that they were bad, it was a cover so they can explain why that they were, had gone into stasis, kind of in a deeper sleep. And,
so they pretended to be punished so that they could get a bit of rest.
Yeah.
What an interesting ploy, huh? So that they get a bit of sympathy as well. So they go, oh, poor Kronos. Oh, we worship Kronos. Everybody has a little altar and, so.
Yeah. They just, what happened? Well, I mean, of course the Archons got a hold of some of this stuff like they did with Zeus. And with the absence of the deities came in, and after the deities left, someone had to say that we were still there, We're still here, us, the Archons, showing up. And I'm wondering if this is where they got that extra juice to be, powerful, is they, kind of showed up, and it's like going into the vacant space and then finding some, little blends of elixir here and there that, made some of the deities powerful. Like they found in, was it the Bosegi, location when they found some, gold powder, and, I mean, who knows what else was found in there. The first ones that got in there figured it out or had access to, substances that were there. So.
They probably found their stash. Yeah.
Right. So who's to say that that's not where the Archons, started off? Accessing things. And it's just like the transmission we did with, Andronicus in the, opium bed. And, they were kind of, the Archons were already had accessed his information and were, using his power. And they were drawing blood from him.
Exactly, to get his genetics. And, to try and, create an avatar for them so that they could drive something, but it probably never worked properly. A proper avatar.
No, because the Archons are odd.
Yeah. They're not,
they're not evolved. And usually pretty nasty and do some bad things, so.
So, I like the bit where he says, are they delivering you like eBay wife? It's like, I just ordered this one. I have a blonde.
Yeah, did they send you to me? I was like, what?
you could be my wife. Do you like wolves? I've never, this is like,
I started thinking of Dave Corso, like, what?
Yeah. Their godlike abilities doesn't give them good chat-up lines, do they? They're I don't know. Maybe Andronicus is a little more smooth, but he's
Andronicus is more smooth. Yeah, definitely.
He's not quite, like, oh, come on. Yeah, I've got wolves.
But, Andronicus lived amongst all different species, whereas Kronos is, he was always just amongst his clan. So there would be that, he pretty much got whatever he wanted type of thing. And so Rhodan had to step up and say, no, she's with me. So, then he would relax a bit, but he showed himself as a very attractive man. And that's the other thing that they can do, so they're very enticing, but, I don't know. I thought it was best for me to just kind of back off and let the thing run its course,
Excellent. So, now, he did a flash.
You were mentioned in there.
Yes, and they did another flash appeared, and we stand in front of Rhodan, Borkum, Kraton, and Meetis. It says, "Where's Primus?" They got him as well, didn't they? Who's they?
Oh, yeah. That's a good question. They were talking about the Syrians.
Really?
Yep.
Uh-huh.
That's a good question. Yep.
Yes. Well, that's very serious. Shall we, I know, sorry. Shall we move on to the next transmission?
Yes, we're going to Andronicus next.
Andronicus, and we'll finish up with the Meetis. Alright, there's Andronicus. No longer clear. Alright, hang on, what's Andronicus? He's this one, is it? Nope, wrong one. There we are. I'm in a fog. I don't know if I'm walking or standing. I move forward, then back in my mind. There is no place for me to go. It's all confusion. I can't get free from the torment within my mind. Part of me wants to rebel, to scream from the mountains and weep until the tears flow like a river. I don't know why I feel this way. What has happened to me? What has happened to my world? It all seems so grim and uninviting. This evening I departed from our gathering by the fire. It was too hard for me to enjoy the laughter. The releasement of Kronos changes everything. I was just trying to get used to Kraton coming forward. Kronos, he will discover all that I said about him. I am restless and must leave the camp. Where to go? My mind wanders to remote areas of stars. I could visit the past or reside on Shangri-La. I'm tired of all of it. Let me pass on to a better place. Yeah, they're doing experiments with Rhodan. I'm curious to discover what they find. No, that's not my destination. Rhodan will further humiliate me. I shall travel elsewhere. Yes, to early Earth in Africa to run with the lions and find my lover. Suma, will you join me?
How can I travel to Africa like that?
Oh, we will be first on the planet. Only the animals will abound. I will show you. It is too late. It already happened.
What happened?
You and I as lovers in Africa. We were together alone and it was primal. I enjoyed it fully until the Watchers showed up.
Wait. I remember this. Tell me about them. They seemed to dress very futuristic and judged us for being passionate. They acted as if it was a crime for us to do that.
It was acceptable on other planets. They were laying down the guidelines of the humanity's hidden laws. This type of behavior was not acceptable.
Were you aware of it all? I know I didn't understand.
They judged us before the High Council. That's the reason why you had problems. Of course, this is not the reason why I brought you there. I wanted to be alone, just the two of us without any others. After that, they watched you very closely. I didn't allow them to do that to me.
Are they still there?
No, I was able to prove that they were unfit to judge. We were created in beauty and love. None of that should be punishable. I only wish things were different. I must go. Tell Primus more is coming. Keep an open eye on the planet.
What is happening now on Earth?
You're safe. I'm keeping an eye on you both. Be at peace. Oh. Again, unexpected twists and turns. Suddenly you arrive back in Africa. billions of years ago.
I remember
probably.
that too.
You
Yeah,
remember it.
that.
So,
yeah.
so what do you remember? Would you want to talk more about it?
There was no one there, just the two of us. And I remember seeing lions, and the lions were very comfortable with us being there. They were, not that they were pets, but they were around us and they didn't harm us. And that at some point I recognized a circle. It was almost like a council of people, and they were wearing like these kind of like hats and things. It was females, males combined, wearing long robes. And, just watching everything that we did. It was very strange. It was like no one else was on the planet then, and I couldn't figure out why. It was like they were recording everything that we did and went and told on us.
So,
and so I,
it was
you know,
like
I
you
just
went
thought
up
that
for a private, quiet time, and still people were watching you.
Yeah, like the High Council of Paparazzi. That's what it felt.
Yeah, Snoopy poopers, aren't they?
Yeah. Yeah, they were just like, and they kept that formation of a circle. And almost like they were there in another dimension, but you could see them. So it's like almost they look like a ghost. You know, but you could kind of, you know, see them, and sometimes you could see them more boldly. But they were very like, kind of like have their nose up and kind of looking down upon us in a way that was very condescending. And we looked like we were early man, you know, or like cave people.
What, you're sort of hairy?
No, we weren't hairy. We looked very humanoid.
All right. So just, I mean, and
but you know, I mean, of course, we're highly groomed, you know, like, I know my hair was very long and maybe a little wild. And he also had long hair. You know, wearing skins.
you must have been a beautiful couple.
Oh, we were kind of a very uninhibited couple. There's no one else around, typically. It was really weird. I just got like a snapshot of it.
Interesting. And have you seen that before, or did that just, cause like.
I'd seen it before.
You have, yeah, so you have had experience. So this must be a very
about
strange
5
experience.
years ago.
Very.
But what's strange is that he brought it up.
Mm.
Cause I thought it was just like a weird dream, but now he's telling me that it happened. So he can go back and experience the past anytime he wants. I can't, you know, I can kind of view it maybe, but he can travel there. And at this point right now, doesn't know what to do because I think he's afraid. With two new, or the two that weren't involved in certain things are now coming back in, and they were his elders. So it changes things. You know, it's bad enough he had to deal with Rhodan, who's like kind of the brother that gives him a hard time, you know? So, yeah, he was kind of in an unusual state. It's like he doesn't know who he is and what he's doing. Doesn't know how to define himself.
This always seems to be Andronicus' problem.
Yeah. He never quite knows who he is.
I can relate. And more is coming. More what is coming? He says, I must go. Tell Primus more is coming. Keep an open eye on the planet.
Probably more coming.
Yeah.
More reviving and awakening.
Oh, I hope so. Because I was thinking maybe more, you know, Arcturans or weird people. Eldrabranians. Anyway.
I think the bad have been here. So whatever people are worried about the bad being here, they've already been here. It's more of an absence of good and support for humanity. The bad have already been here. It's a reflection on, you know, some of the struggles that we've had on the planet anyhow. So it's less to be worried about and more to be, you know, hopeful. And I know that there's some hot spots on the planet right now, and I think it's just bubbling up from things that have happened, and some of the beings are having to leave, whether it's the Dracos or some of these other species, the Arcturians or whoever else, any other rogue groups, even some Pleiadian rogue groups too. They're finding some hot spots over by, I think it's Iowa, and then Patty has been bringing up information she sees from the satellite. Patty Broussard.
Yes, the satellites feeds are very interesting, and she's seeing this, the whole, the idea of America splitting into two. The Mississippi is something that I've seen, and loads of other seers have seen, and there seems to be a lot of that activity going on now. To me, the planet is expanding, and as the planet expands, things are going to rise and fall. As it's a bit like if you've got a tight shell and then you expand what's inside the shell, it allows the pieces of shell to kind of fit together in a slightly more relaxed way. But all the pieces are pushed apart. I don't know how to describe it really.
Well, according to Patty, there's something that's underneath over by the Gulf of, I believe, and that is
the Gulf of what?
Gulf of Mexico, maybe.
All right.
Or over there. I don't know. I mean, she always gives so much information that I get brain overload.
Yeah.
Maybe one of these days we'll have her on, but I know that when she gets started, she can, be like, and she has pictures. She has all sorts of stuff that she provides. That's quite amazing. And and if some of the things turn up that don't occur, according to what she says, is because I think others are going in and correcting it. I don't think that, her information is, anything to really question. I do take it very serious. But I also believe that there's, some other, higher beings that she's not in contact with that are trying to work through and to heal and fix some of these other issues that are potential, serious catastrophic events on our planet. So, we continue to work through it and keep, prayers and hearts and keep, as I'm, trying to communicate and work with some of the ancients. And so, all of us have our connections, continue to do that for the planet. So, anyhow,
right.
Like I said, maybe there'll be some point where we'll bring in, between, her and there's others too that have information and we'll just keep trying to provide information, but it's really their work. And so I'm doing my work but I encourage people to listen to others as well.
Yeah, I think it's important.
Captain Max or,
everybody's got their perspective,
stuff.
Eh?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So shall we go and see Meetis?
See Meetis.
Sorry, I cut you off there. Do you want to finish your thought?
No, that's fine. I think we're...
Okay, so, Meetis. I'll give one of those. Over to you.
I observed Meetis as a very young boy, at the age of 8 or 9. He was living with a family in the outskirts of England, in a thatched roof house. The fireplace was too robust and it began to catch the house on fire. Meetis, not fearing death, kept running inside and would drag out all the inhabitants one at a time from the fire. There were 8 people in the house, including a few pets. There he was, untainted by the smoke. The people of the village came in and began throwing buckets of water and removed the thatch with pitchforks to the ground where it would naturally go out on its own. The theory was that they could always build a new roof, but the structure of the house should be maintained if possible. This situation created a bit of hysteria, as the people tried to resuscitate some of the family members, and there stood young Meetis, hardly a scratch on him. They were startled by him. His hair was not even singed. Then the villagers said, villager.
Oh, sorry.
Either he has the angels of God...
Hang on, no, wrong voice. Either he has the angels of God to shroud him, or the devil cloak is upon him. Which one is it, lad?
I haven't either. I only cared about saving my family.
Well, he's got to be 8 years old, huh?
I haven't either. I only cared about saving my family. I shouldn't answer you.
At nightfall, Meetis walked along the edge of the house, observing the stars, when a large man came from behind him and covered his mouth. It was Borkum.
Meetis, have you gone mad? What are you doing here? They will either hang you or call you the Messiah if you keep this up.
Oh, leave me be, Borkum. I only want to help people. It's my job to do so. I have the superpowers. Why can't I use them?
Meetis, you are not a child. Why did you change yourself into one, and why did you entangle yourself so much with this family and village?
I wanted to belong. I wanted a family just like the rest of them.
We are your family. You have been here for too long. It's time to go back. Bid your friends farewell, and we shall be on our way.
I'm not going anywhere. This is my home, and I'm going to stay.
You are not as they are. When will you come to terms with that? It doesn't matter how long you stay with them, you will still be an ancient man in a boy's body and immortal. You'll watch them all die and wither away like a tree. It can be too devastating for our emotions. I bid you, please gather your items and let's go.
Meetis looked up at the stars and tears ran down his eyes.
I hate being different. I want to be one of them.
Placing his arm on Meetis' shoulder, Borkum said,
I know how you feel. I felt that way in Siberia with the clan of Caucasus. Nothing feels so natural until they find out who you are and what you're capable of doing. Before long, they want you to curse other families, amass wealth, change and rule the nation. The list goes on. Humanity is not ready for us. Maybe they never will be.
Meetis turned to look at Borkum, and then his body changed to a man. He looked away, destitute of emotions.
I'm sorrowful today. It is as if my entire family just died.
Then he shook his head and walked forward.
Where do you want to take me?
Don't you want to say goodbye or tell them that you're leaving?
Like this? And you aren't worried about being hung for doing witchcraft? It is our people that created this problem. We were the ones who challenged all belief systems. They didn't understand it.
Let's go, Meetis, back to Jupiter. You never finished what you were to do there. The instruments are still waiting for you to play. Remember the golden harp. Come now, no reason for tears. Let's be on our way.
You're not one of us. You're from Imogene. Told you that a long time ago.
I'm just as much the same blood as you are. Besides, we're a lot more alike than you realize.
Why are you watching us? Are you here to help or you just see what we're doing? Do they ask you to do this?
I don't have a reason why I'm observing. I'm just checking on you.
Suma, are you one of us? You seem very human, but you can see us.
I know, it doesn't make any sense, does it?
What he's asking is if you're here to help us or just to report to Rhodan.
I'm here to share your story with others, if that's okay.
I like that. We shall be held in high honor, and many shall know about us.
Yes, you do have a purpose, Suma. Keeping tracks of our whereabouts helps you to understand us. I like to bump into you in other incarnations. Actually, not long ago, a young maiden came by while travelling from Russia. I knew it was you right away. I tugged on your skirt and embarrassed you. I sang songs and you thought I was a nuisance. In the end, I kissed you on the lips. That was forbidden in your culture. They told me I was supposed to marry you, but my parents told them to move along and stop trying to use your gypsy trickery. I felt awful, honestly. I would have married you. I tried to tell you, but you didn't understand. Your family told you were disgraced by me. I'm truly sorry for what happened. Someday I will make it all up to you. Here is a strong... Here...
Hang on.
Here is a song for you. Deep in the hollow of the tree sits a love letter written to you from me. A poem of long ago, you see. A time when gods ruled the land and the sea. Now we are strangers here, no one ever cares. We just float through time without hope or fear. Tell Primus we'll sing together someday.
Did you say Primus? Where is he?
Come now, Borkham. Let's not get into this now.
And Borkham and Meetis drifted off into the dark in an unknown portal to transport out.
There we are. Wow. Again. Again, you know, an unusual twist, an unusual turn, and that, you know, there's another interaction between you and these guys. They just wander around goosing you, don't they? They just walk up behind you and goose you and then bugger off.
Well, yeah, because they remember who I am, and I have no clue because, you know, I'm what they call a sleeper, right? Mm-hmm. And then they just show up, and he just ruined my life.
That's right.
You know, it just, you know, shamed me or whatever in front of my relatives. But he was just doing it as a jest, you know, hey, don't you remember me?
Yeah.
And actually, I do remember that when he told me the story. I was like, yeah, I remember that. Wow, you just screwed me over there.
They don't care, do they?
No, they don't. Well, you know, they don't think about it. It's almost like you see someone and you remember them, and then they forget who you are. And then you approach them and give them a hug, and they're like, oh my God, who is this person? Yeah. And maybe you knew them from high school or elementary school. And at first, you know, you feel a little, and especially, you know, you're there with, a spouse or a partner or something. And, you know what I mean? It's like, how do you explain that? You know?
Exactly.
Oh, is it someone you're seeing side or who is that person? Well, that person is someone that I don't remember from elementary school. And so it's the same thing. It's like, and that's what they do. They remember, they recognize, others that were part of their clan that have incarnated. And then they do these little things.
Oh, well. Yeah, so, where are we?
But he turned himself into a child. He wanted to have his family.
Yeah. And the house burned down.
The roof burnt, but they almost all died. He saved every single one of them and, just dragged them out by himself. But they were probably trying to figure out how he was able to do it, and then he didn't even get finished.
Exactly.
And keep in mind that when he had seen me, he was about that age, 8 or 9 years old. I would have probably been around the same age.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. So we would have been like children or whatever. But, the fire, I saw the first image I had was he was on the ground, laying there. And, I could see him. His hair was kind of, a little scruffy, you know, like a little wild, but short. and he was just laying there on the ground looking up at the stars, and had a little bit of the ash on his face. And then the whole story kind of unfolded. So he's missing his family. You know, he's loves England. Doesn't seem to like to leave. Doesn't even venture off in any other culture.
Yeah, I mean, he could be almost every, you know, like if he keeps appearing in England, then there will be lots of examples of his energy being placed here. You know, it's really making quite a concentration of his energy, which probably has some sort of cosmic significance as well.
I think so, and I think, you know, England has its own, you know, it's been quite powerful. You know, it's not a huge region of the world, but it could explain, you know, some of the little extra magic that's there. You know, the music industry is quite phenomenal from there, and you know, he was there singing and playing instruments, you know, throughout many different time periods of England.
You know, there was a bit that passed me by that I just want to pick up on, and this is the thing about Primus managing the Beatles.
Yes.
In my life, when I was in my teens, I met the actual manager. What was his name? Brian Epstein. I met his niece or something. So that's how close, that's about as close as I got to Brian Epstein, is that I met his niece, in the 70s. He was already dead by then. I think he died in 67, probably because he couldn't shut up about Paul. But, it's just so weird, all these little connections that keep coming. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I think what we did, we worked on an area where it was almost like a shift in a reality. You and I had done something, and then I saw that you were supposed to have been the manager of the Beatles, and then also who was the other star musician that was good friends with George Harrison?
Eric Clapton.
And Eric Clapton, I saw you were involved with him. It's supposed to, like, it was almost like an alternate reality.
How weird.
But it was changed.
Because
I remember we had a discussion about it.
Yeah, but not only that, but this evening, before the show, I played 4 Eric Clapton songs, including Tale of Brave Ulysses.
Wow.
Really?
Yeah.
All right, so the songs were I Can't Find My Way Home, The Sunshine of Your Sunshine of Your Love, and The Presence of the Lord. So there you go. How interesting. It's all so entangled.
It is. It is.
And then there was this interaction between Borkum and Meetis. I really felt that. I really feel the sorrow of Meetis, you know, having to leave behind these people. It's like, I can feel it in my heart.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He really didn't want to. I mean, he looked up and just started weeping. And, Borkum, Borkum's kind of funny. He's kind of there when everyone needs him. He's not always appreciated. And then I kind of found why that they kind of have like a little irritated way toward me. It's because they think I was, Rhodan's spy.
Oh, right. Yeah. Just his sneak.
Yeah. Why are you watching us? Yeah. I'm like, I don't even know why. Just sort of opens up and I see it. Now, I thought they were pulling me in. But, and they thought that I was there spying on them. So, they Borkum usually says, oh, don't pay any attention to her. Right? And Meetis, has called me names before, so, it makes sense, and everyone, even Andronicus doesn't want to deal with Rhodan.
Yeah.
So he's just very strict.
Yeah, very. He's very, yeah.
But I think that he has a higher reason for being that way, just he never discusses it with them.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he's very fatherly. You know, he's just the wait till your father gets home father. You know.
Yeah.
He doesn't like them doing that stuff, and he can be quite punishing to them. And also, you know, what was it? Kronos. Kronos appeared in his only thing. He was only away for 8 days. Yeah, it was like 100, maybe several thousand years. When, you know, in our real time. So, just want to say, there's, Craig was saying, I was laughing my tits off at those voices, JP. Max was saying Jessica Morocco is an awesome writer. These stories are a reality. Should really be put into an audiobook. Well,
is that what he said?
Yeah, that's what he said. I think this is.
Thank you, Max.
Look, in the next 2 hours, I'm going to be playing more of a very famous radio play called The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. I played a little bit last night. And, in a way, I think the Andronicus Papers is almost, that's in the same genre. You know, it's like a radio play that could go further. And, you know, Hitchhiker's Guide did go further. It was a stage play. Not many people saw. I actually saw the stage play. What was it, about 1978, when I was a kid. Me and my mate went to see it in Finsbury Park. But it was brilliant, and they had mock-ups of some of the props and Marvin and all that just in the theatre. Just that was a really unique experience. And then later on they made a TV series, and then later on they made a film from it, and you know all the other spin-offs. But this is the original radio show that came out in the 1970s, and they were just, you know, Douglas Adams was just like writing it week by week, very much like you, just writing it week by week and seeing where it took us. I'm sure that there were some story arcs, there were some ideas there, like the bowl of petunias, that thought, oh no, not again, because that comes up a lot later, you know, as to why it thought that. That was. So
there's so much. I'm looking at the chat. So they're kind of a little bit all over the place, but it's, you know, a few really good, comments here and there.
Mm-hmm.
Some people are enjoying your,
my
you know, someone says
characterization.
wonderful to remember all the past lives.
Mm.
Yep. Red Pill said, and the guys have a bit of human, or humans have a bit of Titan.
Exactly, they do.
Yeah.
We probably all have a bit of Andronicus because, you know, as he liked, as was his wont, he liked the ladies.
Mm-hmm.
He liked the ladies.
Yeah, I think he likes to be the ladies' man.
Yeah. So yeah, this is, actually they're saying, you know, this should be made into an audiobook. One of the reasons that when I read it, if I made a mistake, I would just do it again so that it can be edited. I haven't edited them yet, but if somebody can be asked to listen to 43, to just, clip them out all into their, you know, just into the readings or something. I don't know. It's a bit like I was saying, it's like the Talmud with its commentary by the rabbis. Do you want to read the commentary or do you want to read the Talmud? You know, it's like the Bible or the original books. So yes.
I think that the transmissions do require some added insights and information. So I've kind of gone back and forth about just reading the transmissions and then that's it, and not having any commentary. I think that it might be harder for people that are listening to it in a cold way for them to really absorb everything that's being said.
That's true. And
to kind of break down some of the information. So I'm a little torn about it, and I know that the radio transmissions are imperfect, and some of the imperfection actually to me is fun, and that was very raw.
Yeah, it's got that kind of live as it happens texture to it.
Yeah, and like the Hitchhiker's Guide, it can be a little comical.
Yeah. I mean,
so
some
like
parts are hilarious. Absolutely.
Yeah. Especially the Borkum coming after you.
The whole Borkum like butting in. He's basically butting in on every opportunity. Bless his heart. He must have a good, we must have had some good times together, let's put it that way.
Well, one of the visions I've had, and I never wrote about it, is, being, one of those, just having that big Viking look and, seeing these giants, these giant titans having a snowball fight. It was hilarious. And I just watched this whole vision, and they're just like picking up these boulders of snow and throwing it at each other. And it was funny. It was real, like they just were big kids, just huge, but very playful and, very physical. And I was a part of that, and I did it along with them. And even still to this day, I remember having snowball fights with my son and doing it with others. And, just, I think that's the aspect of the Titans that I think all of us can embrace, is that finding the child within us and, embracing the outdoors, no matter what the weather is, and just enjoying it all. But, all the drama and the other situations, they're all pretty similar to what we're having, and not all of it's, dealing with, really serious things, although dealing with kind of, the chemical stuff or the biology and that yellow cluster, having to deal with matter that they don't know what to do with and trying to figure out what it is. That's another aspect of our world.
Yes.
But
go ahead.
We don't really go into too much about anyone getting hurt because they're self-healing. And, I think in some ways we are as well, depending on how we perceive our bodies. But I do think that they embrace the application of self-healing, like the time when, Kraton cut off the arm of Kraton. Ketron. Sorry, they sound the same, similar.
Mm-hmm. I always mix them up. Yeah.
Completely different one, right?
Yeah.
So Ketron was the brother of Kraton, and he's not the black being, and he is kind of he was actually running the group. They called them, and they were named the group after him, called the Ketrons. And Kraton decided, he was his brother, decided that he wanted to run the group, so they had to have a battle. And Kraton cut his arm off right in front of Andronicus, and Andronicus was like horrified. Mm-hmm. So this is the way they treat each other. How are they going to treat me? And, all of this is really kind of interesting. And, but then his arm grew right back. So, they knew how to recover that. And I can't help but think that we possibly have that ability as well.
We just need to remember it all. Okay, well, we're out of time. Thank you so much,
Okay.
Jessica. Fantastic show today. It's been really great.
Thank you.
Thank you. And I'm going to put a little bit more Eric Clapton on after that. I'm going to play the entire Layla. And I'm sure there's something about Layla, isn't there? Anyway.
Yeah, something about, you could have prevented that whole Layla incident, by the way.
Oh well.
Oh well.
Sorry, Eric.
Sorry.
Good night, everybody.
Bye. Thank you.
We came from the future by way of the past. I bought my ticket for the